I sprinted toward the front door at the sound of the ringing doorbell. A lady of about 5 feet or so stood in the front of the brown wooden door, peering through her dented window. A plastic bag dangled from her arms. "Hello?" The surprised me answered, while opening the door slowly. I recognized her as the lady who lived all the way down the street, Miss Chen. A week ago, my mom and I had promised some persimmons from the tree in our backyard. Her arms stretched toward me, motioning me to take the bag. "We went fishing this morning," she began, sensing my confusion. She untied the bag to reveal 2 slippery silver basses in front of me. "This is for you. We caught them in the ocean." Smiling, she continued, "Your persimmons were delicious, crunchy and sweet like apples. I also made sun-dried persimmon for my 2 children." She continued on about how one was pursuing a PhD in New York City, while the other worked in a big company in Utah. Her face glowing with pride as she dove into extravagant detail. Unsure what to say, I smiled back at her and occasionally nodded until she realized she had to hurry back home. Ship dried persimmon to other states? Was it worth all that effort? I wondered. Later, my mom brought inside a cardboard box full of freshly picked persimmon from the tree in the backyard after dinner. She picked up the brightest persimmons and set them on the counter. I was reminded by Miss Chen's visit and my confusion on shipping dried persimmon. Persimmons represent luck in Chinese culture, my mom said. Traditionally, people would give fresh persimmons to each other as a way to wish friends and family good fortune. What about dried persimmons? Sun-drying persimmons can preserve them for a long time, she continued. As long as a year, no problem. My mom took the lined-up persimmons one by one and threw them into the sink. As the water from the faucet cascaded down onto them, she began rubbing the scales roughly. "Actually, did you know, in China when I was an elementary schooler, my parents grew a few persimmon trees in the front yard," my mom told me. "The giant one in the front of the house bore the biggest and brightest persimmons. The tree's trunk was low enough to climb and sit on." She glanced out at the drooping persimmon branches in our backyard. Her eyes drifted to somewhere far away as she wistfully surfaced on her face. There was silence except for the running water from the faucet. I walked to my mother's side while she glanced at me and turned off the faucet. What are we doing with all these persimmons?" I asked, confused how anyone could possibly eat this many in one go. "Making dried persimmons for a friend," she replied while reaching for her favorite kitchen knife. I watched carefully as she effortlessly sliced each persimmon into equal pieces, gliding through half the box in a matter of minutes. I picked up my own knife and attempted to imitate her, applying a hard bird claw-like grip on the side of the persimmon while sawing through its flesh. The knife shook in my hands as the persimmon slid back and forth across the chopping board, dangerously nearing my fingertips on multiple occasions. My mom watched on the side with worried eyes, her hands instinctively reaching out to mine to assist. Next to my mom's neatly cut rows, my pieces were all over the place in size and thickness in the dehydrated rack. She smiled and continued her story. I began to picture a small 10-year-old girl throwing her backpack down on the grass surrounding the persimmon trees. She climbed onto the tree trunk, plucking the largest and brightest persimmon from the branches, then nestling back down on a comfortable spot to read a novel. When she's tired, she would rest the novel over her eyes and nap under the shade of the large persimmon leaves. There she's alone, with the calming breeze of wind rustling through the leaves, and cradled with the sugary sound of persimmons. That is, until she woke up by the call of Grandpa once again, threatening her to get down from the tree. She carefully inched her way down, grabbing her backpack, and runs into the house. Suddenly, I understood why my mom planted the persimmon tree in the backyard when we moved into the house. Years of watering, trimming, and fertilizing a single persimmon seed were fueled by the desire to taste the juiciest, sweetest persimmon every autumn, no doubt. but the roots of the now 6-foot-tall tree extended much deeper than that, thousands of miles away in a small Chinese village. The memory of her childhood tree never left her heart. Cutting open the persimmons along her released a deeper understanding of how she and many other Chinese immigrants strive to find a way to connect the two halves of their lives. And now, years later, it was time to share the best gifts of our harvest as a way to extend our care and generosity to our friends and family. But the gift I received was the sweetest of all. The value she instilled in me through each persimmon has entwined with me, my very being, anchoring me to the community and weaving her story into mine.